I haven't really woken up. Until I've had my McDonald's breakfast deal. And I know this is true because before breakfast, I put my phone in the refrigerator and couldn't find the keys that were already in my hand.
Nothing gets the morning going like the first sip of an iced coffee. Get any size and any flavor for 99 cents until 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campia Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campia, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, he may have been missing yesterday, sucked into the black void. He actually went into space with William Shatner, little known fact, but he is back down, earthbound today, the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, it's a great day. Good Canadian kid goes to space. It'll be a day that lives in history.
It'll be a day long remembered as William Shatner went into space. You and I got a text from a buddy of ours this morning saying, hearing William Shatner talk about going to space put tears in his eyes. I think that did for a lot of people. And guys, it almost puts tears in my eyes. How's this for a segue? It almost puts tears in my eyes that you guys choose to spend a part of your day here with us, and we do have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here today, guys. First of all, here's how today's show is going to go. We break it into two parts. In the first half of the show, we talk about some predetermined topics. In the second half of the show, we take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to send in a live comment or question to be read on a show or an upcoming companion video, simply go down to the description. You'll see a tip link. Click on that there, or you can enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on a show, of course, if it's appropriate for our show. And of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us here involved at the show, thank you guys so much for that support. Also want to remind you guys, if you need your daily fix of the John Campia Show, but you're not in front of a YouTube channel to do it, good news, there is an audio-only version that we call the John Campia Show podcast. It's on all your favorite podcasting spots. Whatever your podcasting app of choice is, just go there, search for the John Campia Show podcast, subscribe to it. We even put some stuff up on there that's not on the YouTube channel. So go and subscribe to the channel so it is there when you need it. All right, guys. Listen, before we get into our main topics here today, there are a couple things for us to talk about off the top, and one extremely important one, and that is this. Rob, you'll remember that we spoke a couple weeks ago about the fact that the biggest union in Hollywood, the IATSE, held a vote to authorize their president to take the union on strike. And Rob, you and I talked about the fact that, make no mistake about it, don't underestimate what this is. This is Armageddon. If this strike happens, we talked about, then everything shuts down. Every movie show and TV show, every movie and TV show you can think of gets ground to a halt. Now, I expressed some optimism at the time, Rob, reminding people, say, hey, look, they just voted to authorize the strike. They had to put the producers guild's feet to the fire. They had to show them they're serious. I believe a deal's going to get done. I think it's going to happen. I think they understand nobody wants a strike. I mean, so something's going to happen. Well, the temperature just got cranked up a bunch, Rob, because there is a report this morning in Variety that is now letting us know that IATSE, or the IATSE, has set Monday, this coming Monday, as their strike date if a new deal with the producers has not been reached. I want to read a little bit of this for you guys. This comes to us again from Variety that writes, negotiations to prevent a strike that could bring the film and television production business to its knees are going down to the wire. Matthew Loeb, president of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, said early Wednesday that unless an agreement is reached, 60,000 union members will begin a nationwide strike against the major studios on October 18th at 12:01 a.m. Such a work stoppage would be catastrophic, halting production across the U.S. Union members are demanding better hours and working conditions, saying that the surge in production over the past decade has led to long hours and dangerous situations on set. And Rob, you and I spoke about this when they were voting about whether or not to authorize the strike. And it's something that a lot of people, I think average film fans, take for granted, that for these movies to get made, while the stars of the movies spend half the days in their luxury trailers, sipping Zevia and having their manicures done, whatever, there are hundreds of people on sets that are working for 12, 14, 16, 18 hours to get these things done. And they're not being compensated fairly, and their well-being is not being taken into consideration when talking about how long those hours are. And it looks like now they finally set a date. Say, look, you got to know we're serious. They set a date for Monday. Rob, you heard this morning that they've set this date for Monday. Were you surprised that they've now drawn a line in the sand and set it for Monday? And how's your optimism about whether or not they can actually get to a deal before that Monday deadline?
Well, I think this strike, I mean, as you know, I've been on both sides of this line. And the fact is, this had to change. People just simply can't do the kind of focused, intense work crews for 12 hours or 14 hours or 16-hour days. So this had to change. We have to adopt a more European model. They call it French hours. Maybe not quite French hours, but things have to change because it's just not right anymore. And the reason that the producers are apprehensive about this is because when you're working 10 hours instead of, say, 12 hours, you're adding days to the schedule every week. And I understand that. It affects your budgets. It affects your bottom line. But we have to figure out how to work shorter and more efficiently in order to protect the health and welfare of people that are toiling very, very hard to make the studios a lot of money through great product that becomes even more important during the new streaming era. And so I think this is not a all you have is the leverage you have to negotiate. And IATSE has leverage. And they had an overwhelming vote to call a strike. And that is something that's a very powerful tool in order to affect change. And I think it's something that needs to happen. And for them to draw a line in the sand proves they're serious. It proves that, look, you can't push us around. We have to make a deal. And it's up to you. It's in your court. We've told you what we want. We've told you what we're going to do. And we're going to do it. And it's up to you to come back to us and address our concerns. And these are concerns, John, that have been around for years, decades. And it's time for a change. And I am not necessarily optimistic that they're going to negotiate their differences before Monday. They really haven't, as far as I understand, they haven't really addressed any of these concerns during these negotiations. So I think it's going to happen.
You know, Rob, as much as I, as an outsider, can sit down and look at this situation and say, wow, I mean, yeah, look at these working conditions and all this kind of stuff. I thought it would be beneficial for you and I and for the audience at the John Campus Show if we heard from somebody who's actually in there. Now, I want to introduce somebody to you here, guys. First of all, you guys, many of you guys may have seen this before. That is my pride and joy right there. That table right there, that is my pride and joy. That is a 65-inch display TV inside of a table wired with iPad, iPhone, and Android power cables that run throughout it. And our game masters, whether you're playing poker or role-playing game like Dungeons & Dragons here, they can bring up their maps on the screen underneath the glass. It's amazing. And that table, the reason I mention it, was designed by a friend of mine who is actually a production designer with the union, who has over 30 films to his credit, 30 projects to his credit. I want to introduce you guys to a buddy of mine, the designer of that fantastic table, and a member of the union here to give us a little bit more insight into this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Spencer Brennan.
I haven't really woken up until I've had my McDonald's breakfast deal. And I know this is true because before breakfast, I put my phone in the refrigerator and couldn't find the keys that were already in my hand.
Nothing gets the morning going like the first sip of an iced coffee. Get any size and any flavor for 99 cents until 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Satva customer service, how may I help you?
Hi, is it true that Satva delivers to any room in the house?
Correct.
Really? Even to a treehouse with spiral stairs?
Yep.
Or an underground man cave?
Yep.
What about a research library hidden behind a painting that can only be accessed with facial recognition?
Satva's free white glove delivery, setup, and old mattress removal works for all rooms.
Impressive. Get $200 off your purchase of $1,000 or more at satva.com/200.
Spencer, thanks for joining us here today, man. I really appreciate it.
Hi, John. Hi, Rob. Thanks so much for the intro, John. I really appreciate it. And the table, it touches my heart. Good memories on that all around. More to come.
Yes, yeah. Obviously,
thanks so much.
Obviously, our role playing kind of took a hit when the pandemic hit, but we'll get back to that very soon.
We adapt. Yeah. Oh, and hello to your viewers too. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen.
Well, Spencer, listen, we are looking at this situation from the outside looking in. Can you kind of summarize for us? And by the way, I should mention, not only is Spencer part of the union, his wife, our friend Laura, is also in the union as well. So you are a union household. Can you kind of help explain to myself and our viewers and stuff like that, what is it that the IATSE is really trying to accomplish right now? What's going on with this situation?
For me, I try to wrap the situation around, one word for me is sustainability. I think it's important to our culture outside of media, but over the years, the work situation on sets has, I like to say, it's eroded the quality of life for the workers. And it's overreached. We're at a threshold moment now where it's unsustainable for us. And what we're asking for, the sticking points for everyone to understand is reasonable rest, meal periods and breaks. It's 2021. We're talking about meal periods and breaks. A living wage for folks. I know this is an issue outside of Hollywood as well. So living wage, sustainable benefits, to come back to that word. Not so new media is one of our taglines. So there's a contractual situation around streaming, which is when you hear new media, or we say not so new media, effectively that's just crosstalk for streaming platforms. And lastly, we want to address diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. Unfortunately, as we all know at this point, there hasn't been an agreement reached on these things. But the sustainability aspect is like, it's on a set, on a project, on a film, a TV show, commercial, etc. It can get the situation can get very acute time-wise. It's like, it's about this shot. We need to get this shot or this. And it can be really down to the seconds, the minutes, the end of the day. And productions can, choose to spend the money or take the short-term hit or do what it takes to get that done. As a union, we know how to work hard. We've the IATSE laborers, we wouldn't be in the position in what we are right now. We wouldn't be a labor union. We wouldn't have been making films and media for close to a century, if not more now, without knowing how to work hard and how to make the product well. We're experts on doing that. And what ends up happening a lot of times is that the workforce carries the long-term burden of production's short-term decisions.
Right.
So they'll more than happy to pay more for people to stay an extra hour to get the shot done. But when one of those people who was on it's the 6th day of the week and they're clocking 70 change hours and they're like, okay, great, we got the shot. And then they crash on the way home. Those are real stories. That is something that really happens. And there's a nice hashtag moment that moves around the industry, but it doesn't, those things for me, they don't get addressed as a whole from the employers, from the producers. And on the top of the ticket, we're talking like reasonable rest. It's eroding.
let's make this practical for people. Can you give us an example? Because you've worked on a lot of productions. So
I've done some grinds, yeah.
By the way, Spencer was also the art director for a little show I produced called Awesome Tacular with Jeremy Johns that was up on the Verizon network. And he was our production guy. But
that was a really fun set.
That was a fun set, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But can you give us an example just to make it practical for people? Maybe one of the experiences that you either had or witnessed on set that was like really pushing the limits of what people should be able to handle?
Yeah. Pardon me while I just try to gather. There's
you don't have to drop names. You don't have to drop names. No specific names.
I mean, for me, and I'll see if I can kind of conglomerize this with a few other, but specifically, like, I think the rest periods, meal breaks, and those are the kind of things that happen very often on a set, and they've happened to me. So those will be commonly referred to around issues with turnaround, which basically means, hey, we went over today. So this will happen. This happens a lot. It's okay. We start on Monday. 6 a.m. bright and early, everybody. This is a very common week, and it's happened to me, and it's all over. And then you do like a 12, 14, and there's a little bit of pushback. So, but you got to give everybody 8 hours or so, or whatnot, to turn around. When you say
8 hours, you mean 8 hours between when you finish the 14-hour shift to when they expect you to be back on set to start shooting again.
That is correct right there. So you work a long day that started early, and there were some hiccups, and you had to get that shot done because actor A, he's got to go to Hawaii tomorrow. He's only available on Monday. So we got to get all his shots or her shots and you do so, and it pushes the schedule back. And then, so now Tuesday starts at 8:00 because of the way that the call times and needs to be scheduled, and so forth and so forth. Those issues can stack. And then you end up on a Friday, and Fridays are no longer Fridays. Fridays are now can be referred to as a Fratterday. Oh, Friday.
Fratterday.
Fratterdays is a term that we're using. Yeah, it's an issue. Fratterdays is common. And I think this is a good issue to talk about because it covers a lot of what we're asking for is, okay, Friday's been pushed back. We're calling it now at work at 2 p.m. And then 12 hours plus 2 p.m. puts you now into Saturday, and it's the last day of the week. So there's probably some push and some crunch. And again, maybe there's some scheduling conflict, and you don't get home until 6 a.m. on Saturday.
And this can be a regular thing.
Yeah, no, this is a regular thing, so much so that we have the term Fratterday now. So typically, if, maybe some of your audience can understand, Friday night is supposed to be a good night. Friday night's supposed to be the end of the week, right? Like, hey, it's Friday, TGIF. Let's go home. Like, I've got the weekend ahead of me. That doesn't exist for a lot of folks in entertainment.
Tell me if this is normal. I was on set. I want to make sure I say the right movie because it might not be. I think I remember it being the Rainn Wilson movie called The Rocker. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, but I got to be on set for that, and might have been another movie. So people involved with The Rocker, if I'm wrong about this, forgive me. And I remember I showed up at 7 a.m. one morning because I was going to be an extra in a scene. And I remember talking to some people, like some guys are just dragging their asses around. And I was like, wow, everybody like super tired. Are they not used to getting to work this early? And somebody told me, oh, we didn't strike the shoot till 2 a.m. last night. So they were shooting from like 6 a.m. from 6 a.m. one morning to 2 a.m. Then they broke, and then they were back on set like 5 hours later. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, seriously? How do you function like that? I can't function like that. But they said, yeah, this isn't completely unusual. Is that not completely unusual?
Not surprising at all. Like, doesn't even raise my eyebrow. Like, those scenarios, and like there's similarities and there's a few adjustments based on time, schedules, contract. But yeah, no, exactly that. And the weekend is is just the larger chunk of it. If it's an overnight from a Wednesday to a Thursday, great. You got 6 hours to get home. Sleep. Shower. The other S. Shower. Oh, yeah. Well, eat also. That's, sometimes you don't want to eat. I mean, there's food on set. You can show up a lot of times 30 minutes early, 40 minutes early, and there's a breakfast, a courtesy breakfast a lot of times. However that people want to call it that. And, I can roll that into meal breaks too, because typically it's a 6-hour chunk of work followed by 30 to 45 minutes to an hour of off time. And, it used to be that a story I'll repeat from the president of our guild. He said, when I started working, it was lunchtime. You had lunch, work was off. You could, the set is off. It's down. The lights are off, let's have lunch, recuperate, get some calories in us, take a breath and come back. And then we'll do another 6-hour chunk and then we'll call it the end of the day. Or we'll call another break and we'll order in some lousy pizza or to-go meals that constitute a second meal to satisfy a meal after every 6-hour chunk of work. But yeah, you go home and you barely have enough time to do the common human necessities. And then you get a weekend and you have one day, maybe less, cumulatively, maybe
a weekend that starts at 6 a.m. on Saturday.
Oh, well,
if you're lucky.
Without you having slept. So if you get home at 6 a.m. Saturday, when you're going to sleep, are you going to sleep a whole day? Right. Are you going to sleep 8 hours from 6 to 2 in the middle of a Saturday? Or is your family going to say, we're going to have lunch. Can you join us? So you get 2 or 3 hours, maybe do some laundry. Maybe you get one good night of rest between Saturday and Sunday. And then you've got to go to sleep early on Sunday to, so think about it in terms of your body's refresh cycle. You're constantly moving your 8 hours of sleep back and shorter and back and shorter and back and shorter. So not only is the hours that you're working and the hours that you're sleeping, but your own sleep regeneration cycle is consistently disrupted. You're not sleeping at the same time every day. You're not sleeping the same amount every day. And those are the things that's part of what I mean by I think now there's studies that you can find. I'm sorry, I don't have any, I didn't prepare any, but it's those are cumulatively destructive to a human being. When you're 70 years old or 60 years old and, you're retired, it's well, what was your lifestyle? You're yeah, I had a really bad, I binged my work and I had this, and it's those kind of, and it's up to you. Is that an increased risk of heart attack? Is that an increased risk of stroke? And
it's one thing, because I think a lot of people hear okay, yeah, we've all had weeks like that. We've all had weeks where it's oh man, I was cramming or I had all this work to do, but this is the norm. This is the normal way you guys are expected to function and process. I wanted to throw it over to you, Rob, for a second, because I know, you've had a lot of experiences. See if you had anything you want to throw in there or ask Spencer.
Well, I mean, I totally agree with everything that he was saying. And I think if you're on a long project, I've been on a couple of big movies as a documentarian that have gone on for almost a year of production. And it turns into a real grind. And it is really difficult to keep up with that pace. And, you see weeks in that people's temperaments change and their work changes because it's hard for people to stay focused. And also, I understand it from the other side of it, that there's a money issue. The way things are budgeted, nobody, we always want to save money as producers or whatever. But movies are made by people, very talented people that you're never going to replace those people. And I think that, part of being a great producer is to take care of your crew. And really, ultimately, what this is all about is taking care of your crew, which is the first job. That is that is job one of any great producing team, is to take care of your crew.
Want to know the secret to a great night's sleep? It's Purple. Why? Because only Purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's the reason why Purple mattresses are soft where you want it, firm where you need it, and instantly respond to movement. The Gel Flex Grid flexes around pressure points to support your whole body, no matter how you sleep. Plus, the Gel Flex Grid is 80% air. It breathes, so you're not too hot or too cold. Learn more about Purple mattresses and the Gel Flex Grid at purple.com. Purple, reinventing sleep.
So then I dropped some garlic and croutons on there, and the rest is salad history. I made the best salad ever, people, and now I'm making the best app. The Caesar Sportsbook app got live in-game betting, parlays, and Caesar rewards. Caesar salad ain't got nothing on my app. Nothing!
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call, text, or chat 1-888-532-3500. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app. Your app is ready, Emperor.
And that's really all that IATSE is looking for. I mean, it's not, and taking care of your crew is paying a living wage, making sure people are compensated for their time and their amazing talent, because the people that are working on these projects, John, they're the best of the best. They're like a precision military team that has been trained to interact with people of multi-disciplines, and they know how to anticipate the needs of other different departments. The art department, for instance, has to anticipate what the camera crew needs. Where can the camera crew hang their lights in a set? You know, so the training, the on-the-job training that people have, you can't just hire new people and replace them. You're talking about an elite team of people that are the best of the best, and you want them taken care of.
Spencer, thanks a lot for being here today, man. We really appreciate it. But let me ask you one last question before you go. You know, the union has now set a deadline for Monday, this coming Monday, just days from now. As a member of the union, as somebody who works on productions and stuff like that, where's your feeling at right now? How optimistic or pessimistic do you feel right now that, you know, cooler heads are going to prevail from the producer side and that you guys will be able to get a deal done by Monday? Where do you think the chances are right now?
Personally, speaking from the heart, and my wife's, you know, she's been working a lot this year too. So like I said, we're a union family. I don't have faith that the producers will be able to address. At this point, I've gotten the impression that they want to squeeze us. And my reaction to it is, we are hard workers. We know how to do the squeeze. We know the grind, and we know how to buckle down and get it done. And in this instance, we're not buckling down and getting their shots done. We'll do that. But what's the priority now to get done is to take care of our people, is to take care of each other, and meaningfully influence the business so that it properly supports the people that support it. So I think there will be a strike. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be, I think there's going to be some headbutting on there. I think cooler heads will prevail, but I still think that actually will result in a strike. I don't know how that kind of goes in there, but I don't have faith that they're going to sweep in that producers are going to sweep in and fold at the last minute. I feel like big money's going to squeeze us. And, that's my thoughts.
All right, man. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for everything. Hey, Spencer, thanks so much for coming here and bringing your perspective to this, a perspective none of us have. But listen, if anybody wants to follow you on social media, where can people find you and follow you on social media?
I am known social media wise as @SpencerCules. I don't have a huge profile, excuse me for that. But my wife is known as the Stills Ninja. She's much more active. And Stills Ninja or Lara Solanke. She's a member of Union 600.
And one of the most gifted talented photographers I have ever seen in my life. And she's a dear friend of Anne's as well. So anyway, Spence, thanks for being here, man. And we will
Thanks so much, John.
We'll
Thanks,
have you guys
Rob.
over soon. Have a good one, man.
Thanks to the audience. Cheers, everybody.
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Spencer Brennan, a member of the union, a great production designer, a guy who made my table, as a matter of fact. And thanks to Spencer for bringing some perspective here for us. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It looks like Monday is the deadline. Do you think a deal can get done by then? If not, do you think it is Hollywood Armageddon? The whole industry shuts down. How are you guys feeling about this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we've got what we're almost half hour in, Rob. We haven't even got to the second off the top. Okay, so with that down, let's move into a second off the top, and that is this. You know, guys, you guys know that I was at CinemaCon about a month ago in Las Vegas, and they showed us a whole ton of stuff of all the movies coming out. And one of the things that they showed us that I wasn't really aware of was this new Ethan Hawke horror movie called The Black Phone. And while we were there, they showed us a trailer for it. And I think Aaron and I spoke about it briefly, but we really liked it. We really liked the trailer a lot. And we love the look of Ethan Hawke. And we said, we can't wait for them to release it. Well, that has now happened. They have released the trailer to Ethan Hawke's new film, again, The Black Phone. I think it looks so good. Now, I will say this. I think the trailer gives away a little bit too much. I think they show a bit too much of it. But that aside, that I think the trailer gives too much. It makes this movie look great. This movie looks great to me. First of all, I think Ethan Hawke as a villain is fantastic. I thought the kid in it was great. This whole notion of a kid being held in this room with an old disconnected phone, and all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. I thought it was great. Rob, you had a chance finally to see this trailer for Black Phone. What did you think of it, and what are your expectations for the movie?
Well, you know, the group, I mean, they made Sinister, right? And they're reteaming for this one. I got to tell you, dude.
That's the director of Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson. And I had read, I don't know, I read some article about people had seen this at a screening and talked about how scary it looked. I thought the trailer was pretty great. I mean, yeah, they probably revealed too much information, but let me tell you, Ethan Hawke looks like he's having a good time. And I'm here for this movie. It looks diabolical. It looks scary. And that's what we want from horror films. So I was like, yeah, bruh, bring that on.
You know, it's funny. I
don't want to wait till February, though. At
CinemaCon, handsome Hawk, Ethan Hawke, he actually spoke about this. And he said, you know, I normally don't do villains. But when, if Derrickson wants me to do a villain, I'll do a villain. And I think he looks great in this. I'm very excited for it. Question is for you guys. Have you had a chance to see this trailer for The Black Phone? You know what they should have done, Rob? They should have just had the phone ring and him, like just the phone ringing after that phone is supposed to be complete. There's no wires attached to it. And he hears a voice. They should have ended it at that. They shouldn't have showed us all the kids. But still, I think this movie looks great. What do you guys think about the looks of it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And by the way, guys, I just want to give a quick shout out. A couple of people have been sending in super chat badges in the live chat to support us. Stefan Delin Wouters sends one in. Thank you so much. Our friend Maurice Seafring sends in one. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. All right. With that stuff down, guys, let's move on to our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? It's easy. You see, you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we should really cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic one, shall we? And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Michael T. And Michael T writes, "Hi, John and Rob. Back in Avengers Infinity War, we thought that would be the last time we would see Loki. However, Loki has continued to appear in both the Loki series, Marvel's What If series, as well as rumored to be in the next Doctor Strange movie, which we don't know if that's true or not. With Tom's desire to continue his character, what kind of role will he have moving forward? Could it be possible to take a more heroic role in the movies? Let me know your thoughts. All right, thanks for sending that in, Michael. And yeah, look, Loki is kind of the poster child, Rob, for the reason I call Marvel the Marvel fake death cinematic universe. And Loki is really the poster child of that. I have lost count. They even Tom Hiddleston made a joke about it in the Loki series about been killed many times or something like that. They even made a joke out of it. They even killed him in the Loki series again and then brought him back. I mean, they've done it many, many times. And you're right. When we saw the beginning of Infinity War, it seemed like to us that was finally, not that I wanted it to be the end of Loki, but it seemed like, okay, that was the end of Loki, even having Thanos say, no resurrections this time. You know, as if saying to the audience, okay, now Loki's really gone. Now he's gone. And of course he wasn't. And then he was back for the Loki series. And I enjoyed the Loki series. I didn't think it was great, but I enjoyed the Loki series, and I always love seeing Tom Hiddleston playing the God of Mischief. I love seeing him in this role. Now, shortly after the Loki series, I believe, wrapped, Tom Hiddleston was asked, would you play this role forever? And he said, yeah, I would play this role for the rest of my life. If you guys remember, he said the following. He said, yeah, absolutely. I'm so lucky that I've got to play Loki for this long. And, I feel like he's such an interesting character who's been around in human consciousness for so long. And he's got so many different aspects, so many different complex characteristics that it feels like every time I play him, I find out something new, or we get to evolve him or take him down an avenue that we haven't gone down before. So he was basically saying, I'll play this role forever. I'll play Loki forever. Sign me up. So the question now becomes, Rob, now that we've had his run in the movies, we've now seen Loki. He's obviously being a part of introducing Kang into the universe as well. What is his role going to be moving forward? What is he going to be significant? Are we going to see him pop up in the movies? Will we see him in Doctor Strange? We saw him evolve to really being more. He's always been something of an anti-hero or a misunderstood villain, but they've seemed to have brought him to a point where he's more heroic. I would personally, Rob, love to see him and Chris Hemsworth on screen together again. I love when I get to see the Odin sons fighting side by side on screen. I get a huge kick out of that. And I hope to see it again. So personally, I think we're going to see him take on more of a heroic role. And I think we're going to see him take on a bigger role in the MCU, especially, Rob, now when you consider the fact that stalwarts like Robert Downey Jr. isn't there anymore. Chris Evans isn't there anymore. Scarlett Johansson may or may not be back, depending now that they've kissed and made up. But I think he's going to actually become more predominant in the MCU moving forward. Hell, maybe even being an Avenger. How's that for going far out? Anyway, Rob, we've seen all the Loki stuff. Our viewer asks, what's going to be his role moving forward, if any? How do you see Loki's role in the MCU moving forward?
Well, I think Loki's had the curtain pulled back, and he's seen things, as Roy Batty said in Blade Runner, that you people wouldn't believe. So going to the end of time and meeting Kang and finding out all about the multiverse and the Time Variance Authority and all of that makes him one of the more valuable people in all of creation in terms of knowing how the universe and it all works. It also makes him incredibly dangerous. So to me, Loki has been given added dimensions to his character that make him, in my mind, a fulcrum point of the entire MCU. Wherever Loki goes, knowledge, dangerous knowledge goes with him. And knowledge he can exploit and use against people that have no clue as to what Loki now knows. So I prefer him as an anti-hero. I like the idea that he can be Machiavellian and now his machinations can be grander than ever before. So I think that we'll be seeing a lot more of him in the MCU. And John, I'm there for it. Whether he fights alongside Thor or figures out a way to imprison Thor at the end of time while he rebuilds Asgard in his own image, I don't know what's going to happen. But dude, I'm stoked to see where it goes.
Question is for you guys. What do you think is going to be the future of Loki in the MCU coming out of the Loki series? Do you think he's basically only going to be peppered in here and there? Do you think he's going to take on more of a dominant role? Do you think he's only going to be used in the series stuff? Or do you think we're going to see him pop up on the big screen again? However you guys feel, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
All right, we're here with Nina, who is hosting a little Tuesday get-together.
And she has gone all out.
Yep, she's done the fancy charcuterie thing.
Look at those solid maple serving boards.
So classy.
And those gold rim side plates? Gorgeous.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And she got it all at Marshall's for way less.
Even the cheese?
No, not the cheese, but that to die for sequin top.
Marshall's?
Yep, Marshall's. Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
Weekdays starting at 4 on NBC4.
Another school year with so much uncertainty. News 4 is working for you, dedicating important coverage to keeping kids safe at school.
Helping you navigate the biggest issues facing parents, children, and teachers.
And giving you expert guidance from local doctors and educators.
And showing you ways to manage stress weekday afternoons starting at 4.
We'll help you get through the school year safely.
Weekdays starting at 4 on NBC4. We're working for you.
Okay, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Christian Hader, who writes, or Hatter writes, "Good morning, John. Love or hate them, the Fast and Furious movies are some of the most successful ever, which makes you wonder why some people can't put their feelings aside and just continue good business. Wondering if you saw that interview with Dwayne Johnson basically explaining that he'll never work with Vin Diesel again. Seems ridiculous that we can't see Hobbs in one of the final Fast and Furious movies. What do you think?" All right, Christian, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, it is one of, if maybe not of the last few years, one of the biggest production spats we've seen in a long time. Now, of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, also known as Franchise Viagra, he came into the Fast and Furious franchise. I believe it was didn't he pop up at the end of Fast and Furious 4? I think wasn't he in the post-credit? He might have been in the post-credit scene of Fast and Furious 4. I can't remember exactly.
You mean Vin? No.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he showed up in 5 first.
Because there's a post-credit scene, I think, if I remember correctly, and I might not be, at the end of 4, I think, with Eva Mendes, I think. And I think it was Eva Mendes and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I can't remember if that happened in 4 or not. But anyway, his real first big appearance as a significant character in the movie was in 5. And of course, the box office, that's when the box office for the Fast franchise just took off and exploded. And Rob, you call it the Citizen Kane of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes, I do.
And, and then we saw Vin and Dwayne "The Rock" going everywhere together. We saw them at WWE appearances and all this kind of stuff. But then we found out that not all was copacetic, and that there was tension and arguments and fights. And it ultimately culminated when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was being interviewed about one of the Fast and Furious movies. And he said, "Oh yeah, our female cast is awesome." And this was the first time we got wind of there being a problem, Rob. But he said, "Yeah, but a number of our male cast members are a bunch of candy asses." And we thought, oh, and then a lot of people started thinking, oh, is this a work? Is this them like setting up fake Vin Diesel versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stuff just to promote the movie and stuff like that? And turns out it wasn't. It was very serious. Rob, it got so serious that Dwayne Johnson said the only way he was going to be in Fast and Furious 8 is if he had no scenes with Vin Diesel. And I didn't even realize that till afterwards. I had to go back and say, oh, right, he's never in a scene with Vin Diesel. They don't actually work together in the movie. And then, of course, he spun off. He's doing his own Fast and the Furious universe movies with Hobbs and Shaw. I like Hobbs and Shaw, by the way. I thought that was pretty good. Well, then Dwayne got married again. Vin Diesel sent out a nice social media message. Dwayne Johnson reciprocated. A lot of people thought maybe they can patch things up here. Maybe we can see Dwayne Johnson back in the Fast and the Furious as we move forward. But apparently, We shouldn't hold our breath about that. Dwayne Johnson was recently asked about the whole situation, talking about when things happen and whatnot, and he basically said the following. He says it caused a firestorm when he called some of his male co-parts, particularly Vin Diesel, a candy ass. Yet, interestingly enough, it was as if every single crew member found their way to me and either quietly thanked me or sent me a note. But yeah, it wasn't my best day sharing that. I shouldn't have shared that. Because at the end of the day, that goes against my DNA. I don't share things like that. And I take care of that kind of bullshit away from the public. They don't need to know that. That's why I say it wasn't my best day. No, I meant what I said, for sure. I mean what I say when I say it, but to express it publicly was not the right thing to do. Now, Rob, in the same interview, he goes on to explain that him and Vin Diesel later had a meeting in his trailer, and he said, basically, we just came to an understanding that we are two very different people. We just came to an understanding that we are two very... Let me see if I can bring up the exact quote. Yeah, here it is. This is the exact quote he said. He said, well, there was a meeting. I wouldn't call it a peaceful meeting. I would call it a meeting of clarity. He and I had a good chat in my trailer, and it was out of that chat that it really became crystal clear that we are two separate ends of the spectrum and agreed to leave it there. So it basically comes down to, Rob, it sounds to me like, yeah, this is done. Now, I don't normally like to talk about TMZ, ooh, celebrities fighting, but this has a direct impact on the movies we're seeing and what we will or will not see in these movies. And that's why I think this is an interesting topic to bring up. But it looks like it's pretty clear that he's not going to be in it. Now, Rob, the person writing in the question asked a fair question. This is supposed to be business, not personal. And Fast and the Furious is big business. Why can't these guys set aside their personal differences and do good business? And I understand that, but let me speak to that for a second. If you, Rob, would indulge me, let me speak to that on a personal note for a second. I get where Dwayne is coming from. Because while I agree with him that he never should have made this fight public, he never should have done that. That was a bad move on his part. Going, yeah, some male counterparts are candy asses. There was no need for this to be a fight made in public. This should not have been aired out. This should have been something that was handled privately. And he himself acknowledges that now. Like, what do I always say, Rob? The only thing that ever happens when you get into a shit slinging contest is everyone ends up smelling like shit. That's the only thing that ever happens. And he shouldn't have done that. And he knows that. And he acknowledges and says, you know what? That wasn't my best day. I shouldn't have done that. But as far as it being a business, sometimes things are so personal that it's just not healthy to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be terminally unhappy and where it's just going to cause you massive stress to do it and whatever. And I'll speak to this for a second. I remember when John Schnepp passed away and Collider had reached out to me and asked me if I would come and be on their John Schnepp tribute show. And I opted not to do it. I mean, John Schnepp was much more than just Collider. We could honor him anywhere. It didn't have to be on Collider. I didn't need to be on Collider to honor Schnepp, nor did Collider need me to be there in order to honor Schnepp. And for the record, Collider put on a great John Schnepp tribute show. They did. They put on a wonderful John Schnepp tribute show. Hats off to them. They really did. And since I was the guy who kind of recruited Schnepp, and I was the one who brought him in, and he was my co-host for a long time, and I created Heroes and put him in as the guy to be the host of Heroes and all that kind of stuff. I started getting a lot of emails and messages from people saying, you know, it's really weird. Why aren't you going to be at this? Why aren't you going to be at this? It's really weird. And so without airing any dirty laundry, I never have and I never will. I did just have to explain to people that say, look, I understand why it looks odd that I'm not going to be over at Collider for this. And I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to give specifics, but you got to understand, for me, that is an environment that I do not want to be in. And it's an environment that's not healthy for me. I said, for my own health and for my own well-being and my own mental protecting myself mentally and all that kind of stuff. It's just not a place I should be. And I need to make decisions for my own personal health. And I'm going to honor Schnepp my own way in my own place at my own time. And I did. And, but I just can't go and be in that environment. It's just not something I can do. So I bring that up to say, I get it with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saying, look, if it's at a point where he was so frustrated and it's just so stressful to even think about that environment that he's like, no, I can't be in those movies anymore. I get it. I do. So, Rob, I think the person asking the question isn't wrong. It's business. Can't you put your personal things aside to do business? I agree, yes, but there are exceptions to that, where if it's just going to cause you a lot of mental grief and a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of frustration, then that's not the most important thing in life. Just avoid it and don't do it. So I get it. Rob, you hear about Dwayne Johnson kind of explaining the situation. It kind of sounds like, yeah, he's actually going to be done with Fast and Furious. What do you think? Do you think that, they should be able to find a way to move past this and make big business together? Do you understand where Dwayne Johnson's coming from? How do you see this?
Well, still thinking about what you're saying about Collider. I look at it this way. Dwayne Johnson is a machine. He is a finely tuned machine that throws all of his professionalism into everything he does on and off screen. And a lot of what he does is off screen to prepare for what he's doing on screen. And as somebody who I would imagine, I've never worked with him, but I've only heard stories that when he gets to set, he is the utmost paragon of professionalism. I mean, the man, he knew through working for Vince McMahon and all that he knows what to do here. And when he comes to work, there's an expectation I think he has that everyone else is going to work the same way that he does. Because for him, the same way he keeps his body, the way he keeps it, I mean, his discipline is such that I'm sure other people in Hollywood can be much more undisciplined. And when you come to work with an expectation of that kind of discipline, it can be extremely irksome, because what you're thinking about is that, wait a minute, we're here for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of days, and we're expected to deliver a product. And other people might have been interfering in his ability to deliver what he is being paid to deliver. John, when I've done something that you haven't been, you haven't liked, you have called me up and you said, listen, we need to talk about this. And you've expressed your opinion. And usually you're correct. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I completely hear you. And it's always about the work. It's always about the work. It's never personal. A lot of people can't deal with that. And I think that Dwayne Johnson probably was like, look, there's a lot of Mickey Mouse shenanigans going on here that we shouldn't be doing. And he's thinking about his brand, and he's thinking about what he's bringing to the role. And I think at some point he said, okay, well, we have a lot of different personalities here. And if it's okay with everybody else, I guess I have to make peace with it, but it's not the way I like to work. So I think that in his case, what he's thinking about is his brand that he cultivates on and off screen 7 days a week. And why be in a position where the brand that he is building, and he built it for far longer than he's been involved with the Fast and Furious franchise, and will be building it far after he's done. So I understand where he's coming from, and I completely get it. And he's got plenty of other movies to make. And while it might be business, ultimately he has to decide, is it good business for him?
Right.
And I think that he probably knows himself better than anyone else. And if they want to make another Hobbs and Shaw movie, I'm sure he's going to be there for it. But we just probably won't see him in Fast and Furious 10 and 11. But you know what? Maybe we will. Who
You never
knows?
know. Stranger things have happened. And, I also like the fact that he said, look, we met. It wasn't a peaceful meeting. We just understood we're on different ends. Some people are just oil and water, Rob. Some people are just oil and water. And, I am a big fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm also a big fan of Vin Diesel.
Me too.
And it's just unfortunate their personality types just won't seem to let them work together at this point. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this situation? Do you think this is something like, guys, there's so much money on the table, Dwayne and Vin, put it together? Or do they say, look, they did give it a shot. They made a lot of money together, but if it's just going to be frustrating for the two of them, maybe they should just both move on. Do you think maybe some bridges will be crossed and we might see Dwayne Johnson in a Fast 10 or Fast 11? Whatever you guys are feeling, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Hey, Washington, D.C., we all miss the cheers, the tears, and the touchdowns. The excitement of a last-second field goal to get the heart pumping. The football season's finally here. So now is the time to head to Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races to place your bets for Week 8. And placing your bets at the sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Charlestown Races is an easy way to earn exciting My Choice rewards all season long at the sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Charlestown Races. All gaming is regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Gamble too much? Call 1-800-522-4700 for free confidential help. Must be 21.
Weekdays starting at 4 on NBC4.
Another school year with so much uncertainty. News 4 is working for you, dedicating important coverage to keeping kids safe at school.
Helping you navigate the biggest issues facing parents, children, and teachers.
And giving you expert guidance from local doctors and educators.
And showing you ways to manage stress weekday afternoons starting at 4. We'll help you get through the school year safely.
Weekdays starting at 4 on NBC4. We're working for you.
Okay, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Chess Diego, who writes, Greetings, John and Rob. I know you love Tess Lasso. I'm going to assume you meant Ted Lasso. I know you love Ted Lasso on Apple TV. I love that show, like so much. It's great because it's not just Ted Lasso. That show has some of the best characters I've ever seen in a comedy, and it worries me that I just read that if they do a season 4 of the show, which, let's be honest, is going to happen, that they're going to replace all of the supporting characters and bring in all new ones. Why? What are they thinking, John? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Chess. And yeah, look, no big secret. I talk about it all the time. I, like a lot of people, love Ted Lasso. I love this show. First episode was a little corny to me, but once my brain tuned into what they were going for, by the end of episode 2, I was all in. And we devoured season 1. Every week is about waiting for the next episode of Ted Lasso season 2. They just had their finale of season 2. And it's, of course, it just won a whole ton of Emmys. It swept a whole bunch of the major categories at the Emmys for comedies. And now we're going into season 3. And you're right, Chess. One of the big strengths of this show is not just that Jason Sudeikis is fantastic as Ted Lasso. You have one of the best supporting ensemble casts in a sitcom in a long time. Everything from Roy Kent to Coach Beard to the boss to Keeley. I mean, it's a wonderful assortment of characters. And they won a bunch of Emmys too, at the Emmys this year. It is a wonderful collection of characters, which is one of the reasons why I love watching this show. It's absolutely great. However, the showrunner, I believe it's Bill something. I'll get his last name here in a second. The showrunner was just interviewed and basically said, yeah, if they do season 4, they're probably going to replace all the rest of the cast other than Ted Lasso. This is what comes to us from JoeBlow.com, who writes, when we started, we plotted out everybody's beginning, middle, and end of a 3-season arc. This story is going to be over next year regardless, even if the show finds another story to tell and goes on. It was Lawrence. That's the showrunner's name, Bill Lawrence. Lawrence also added that the future of the show also rests on its star, Jason Sudeikis, who won an Emmy for his portrayal of Ted Lawrence, for his portrayal of Ted. Lawrence pointed to Sudeikis' personal duties as a father, since the actor is actually trying to parent from London. If Sudeikis is game, Lawrence would consider continuing Ted's story with a brand new supporting cast. Lawrence hits that Sudeikis' decision on this will come in a timely manner. All right. So that again comes to us from the folks at Joe Blow. So what it sounds like is that issue here is that, of course, Jason Sudeikis, he just went through an unfortunate divorce, but they have children. He's trying to be a parent, but they shoot this show on location in London. They shoot this show over there. And I guess for Jason Sudeikis, that's becoming problematic. He has kids at home and he's off in London for good chunks of the year while they're shooting the show. I respect that. I respect that as a parent. But to say you need to replace all the cast, dude, just shoot the show in LA. Recreate the sets, shoot it in LA. Or say, Ted went back, but bring the cast of characters with him somehow, some way. It's fiction. You can come up with something in a story to do that. Because Rob, I don't know about you, but for me, especially with comedies more than anything else, I don't watch shows like Ted Lasso for the plot. I don't watch these shows like this for the plot. I didn't watch Schitt's Creek, which might be the greatest sitcom of all time now that I think of it. Anyway, I didn't watch Schitt's Creek for the plot. I watch these shows, especially these comedies, and this is true even if you go back to shows like Seinfeld or The Office or Parks and Rec. I watch these shows because I just love hanging out with these characters. I just love being around Roy Kent. I just love being around Coach Beard. I love being around Coach. I just love being with these characters. And so it's fine if you want to say that our story arc for these characters is completed after season 3. Okay, that's great, but this isn't fucking Game of Thrones. This isn't The Sopranos. This isn't Breaking Bad. We just love being around these characters. You can come up with something. So, Rob, I got to tell you, while I respect the artistic integrity of saying, hey, we had a story arc plan and it's getting wrapped up in season 3. And if we have to bring this back to the States, all new characters. But you got to understand, one of the reasons I watch this show is for Keeley, is for Roy, is for Beard, is even for Nate, even though I want him to be murdered. There's got to be a way to come up with this to make this right. I don't know, Rob, what do you think? Maybe I'm totally looking at this the wrong way. How do you see this?
No, I mean, I look at it like you do. I mean, that's why people tune into comedies. It's you want to hang out with those characters. They're not necessarily plot driven. I mean, they can be. Ted Lasso did have an overarching plot, but it was interesting. You like you said, you like those characters. That's why you hang out with them. You could watch the friends go to Central Perk and just drink coffee for half an hour and you were fine. You got to hang out with your friends that you liked. I mean, I think that's what comedy is about. However, I would say this, it's also good when creators know when they've made the show they wanted to make and they're done. There's something to be said for that too. And to leave it behind. Like, I don't know, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Fleabag.
Right.
And they make the show, they do what they want, and then they move on to something else. I mean, British television has known that for a long time.
Again, listen, I get it. I get it. It's just that you could make an episode of Ted Lasso of literally Roy and Ted in a coffee shop for a half hour, and we would eat it up just because they write these characters so beautifully and so well. And I get it. Maybe you say Ted has to go back and goes back to coach American football. Maybe he takes over an NFL team or something like that. But just like he was a fish out of water going over to soccer, he brings Roy Kent with him, says, because I think you've got the attitude of a warrior athlete. I don't know. I just think there's something they could come up with. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? They're saying that if they do Ted season 4, which I believe they will, that they're probably going to replace the entire supporting cast. That scares me because I watch this show for the cast. To me, comedy is different from drama. However you guys think about this, maybe I'm being a whiny little entitled fan baby about it. That's possible. Maybe you agree with me. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Now, before we jump into main topic number 4 here, Rob, you've got a commitment that you've got to run and be a part of right now. So thanks a lot for being here today. But in the meantime, where can people follow you and all your adventures online?
Well, John, first I want to thank you for bringing on a guest who addressed the upcoming IATSE strike.
He's great, isn't he?
That was a very classy thing to do. You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work. And as always, I love being on the John Campea Show. So thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey, listen, I'm not only the main proponent for Xavier Cola, I'm also the main proponent for this little film called Tango Shalom. Where can people go see it? Where fans in what part of the world can still go see that in theaters right now?
Well, Tango Shalom, you can see in Boca Raton, Florida. You can see it in Palm Springs. It's opening a few other places. It opens all across Russia, or the CIS, the Confederate of Independent States, on November 4th. And it hits VOD here in the States everywhere on October 29th.
All right, Rob, thanks a lot for being here today, man. And we will talk to you again later. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only, the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Okay, guys, we still got some more topics to get to here, so let's get into main topic number 4. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Yuri S. And Yuri S. writes, "Hey, John and Rob. So we've all been excited for the Book of Boba Fett. Yes, we are all excited for that, for sure. But we haven't had a lot of clarity on Mandalorian Season 3 or when we could expect it. I just saw that Carl Weathers just confirmed that they finally started shooting the new season. What do you think of this, and where do you think the show will go now that it doesn't have Baby Yoda in it? Thanks." All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, of course, one of the big things that we all love right now is Mandalorian. And while everybody was very excited, I mean, I think we were all super stoked for the Book of Boba Fett announcement. Some people were a little bit worried, saying, well, wait a minute. Isn't that releasing when Mandalorian is supposed to be released? Are we still going to get a Mandalorian Season 3? And of course, we were going to get Mandalorian Season 3. That was absolutely coming. And then people say, oh, the star of the show is leaving. No, he was never leaving. That was never going to happen. He's still there. So when's it coming? Obviously, COVID threw a big wrench into things, and they have started shooting as long as IATSE doesn't go on strike on Monday. Because if they go on strike on Monday, that shuts down production. But for now, Mandalorian Season 3 is in production. It is up and running. This comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon who write, Rocky vet Carl Weathers took to Twitter to confirm that production on the highly anticipated third season of Disney Plus's hit sci-fi prequel, The Mandalorian, has finally begun. Weathers will be reprising his role as Greef Karga and is also expected to direct another episode. He did a great job directing that one episode last season. Is also expected to direct another episode in the next season. The filming start was initially planned for April, but was delayed because the stages in Los Angeles were still being used for the production of the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Of course, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was supposed to start shooting earlier than that, but of course, all the delays. That bumped the production start of Mandalorian, which had only just wrapped in September. And again, that comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon. So yes, there you have it. We've got Mandalorian Season 3 now in production. Now, you bring up a very, very good question. Where does this show go right now? Understanding that we no longer have Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda ain't a part of this. Grogu is no longer a part of the show. Here's my thoughts on this, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree, and that's fine. But I said this during the finale of Mandalorian Season 2, and I still believe it, so I'm going to say it here again. I don't believe for a second that we're not going to see Baby Yoda back. He's going to be back. He'll be back. Listen, while this show is called The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian is great, the supporting characters are great, yada, yada, yada. The reality is that this show became a pop culture phenomena, not at the beginning of episode 1, but at the end of episode 1. It was the end of episode 1 when Mando opens up that thing and looks down and sees what we all came to know as Baby Yoda. You see, because when The Mandalorian was coming out, a lot of us hardcore Star Wars fans were excited about it. There were some people on the fringes that were looking forward to it, and a lot of us were looking forward to it. But when that first episode ended, and the world saw Baby Yoda for the first time, the internet exploded. Because now it wasn't just hardcore Star Wars fans that were wanting or were interested in Mandalorian. Now it was everyone. There are a number of women in my life, friends and family and stuff like that, no interest in Mandalorian. But the moment that damn Baby Yoda came on screen, that's all Ann could talk about. I mean, if I took you into Ann's office right now, which is up the hall from my office here, if I took you into Ann's office, I lost count of how many Baby Yoda things there are in there. I had female friends of us who have never talked about Star Wars that were showing up in my house, Baby Yoda shirts, Baby Yoda sketches, and talking about when's the next episode of Mandalorian. That Baby Yoda shot changed Mandalorian from a show for Star Wars fans to a global frickin' phenomena. And every week people tuned in to see that frickin' little green puppet, to see that frickin' little green puppet walk around and coo and caw. Oh my gosh, did you hear it coo? Ah! And that was all of us. That was me. Don't lie. That was you. I don't care if you're sitting there in your leather jacket and you got your Budweiser. When Baby Yoda came on screen, you turned into a freaking little, oh my God, he's so cute. He's so, that was all of you. Don't lie. Don't lie. That was all of you. I'm not going to lie. That was me too. That was me too. I see liars in the live chat right now. Russell Amador is a liar, saying that wasn't me. Liar. You're lying. You're a liar. Stop lying, Russell. Stop lying. That was everybody. Then all of a sudden, the whole world was talking about this show. I say all of that to set the stage that the idea that they will then do Mandalorian season 2 without the main thing that made this show a global phenomenon. They'll just take them out and not do. I don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying that Grogu is going to be there right at the beginning of episode 1 of season 3. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying he's going to be in all of season 3. And for the record, just so you know, I don't know for a fact that he's going to be in it at all. It's not like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni have given me a call and say, John, just so you know, lots of Baby Yoda in season 3 of Mandalorian. No one's told me that. I don't know for a fact that he's going to be there. This is just me as a fan speculating just like anybody else. But what I am saying is it would really not make much sense to take that element of the show that made it a global phenomena and then just take it out and wipe it out completely. There are many, many easy ways narratively to have Grogu come back into the story. Whether it's for a 3-episode arc, for the whole season, 1 episode. I mean, I don't know. But I have a hard time believing right now, and I could be 1,000% wrong. I could be 1,000% wrong. But I just have a hard time believing that they're not going to do that. And I'm actually going to put, I'm going to put this up as a poll for you guys in the live chat right now. I'm going to ask, will Baby Yoda appear in Mando season 3? That's all I'm going to ask. I'm putting that in the live chat right now. If you guys are watching live, I've put up in the live chat. I just put up a poll to ask you guys, will he appear in season 3? So you just let me know. I'm just saying I have a very, very hard time imagining he won't be. Now, let's put Baby Yoda aside for a second. What direction does Mandalorian season 3 go? Even if we're not taking Baby Yoda in consideration. Well, I think there's a few things that are obvious. Obviously, by the time we get to the end of season 3, yes, Luke showed up, Baby Yoda went away with him, but there were still some major things going on. The retaking of Mandalore is going to become a major, major thing. Right? I've got to believe, I just can't believe that the retaking of Mandalore won't be at the center of that story, at the center of what's going on. I think that's going to be the main overriding, because if the whole idea of Mandalorian season 2 was about getting Baby Yoda to a Jedi, that was the underlying arc for the entire plot of season 2. And every episode was about the next stage of that adventure of trying to get this baby to a Jedi. I think the next one is going to be, and again, I don't know this for a fact, this is me as a fan speculating just like everybody else. I think that the main underlying narrative here is going to be the retaking of Mandalore. I think that's going to be it with some of the recurring characters. Obviously not all of the returning characters. No Gina Carano this season. That's her own damn fault. But I think that's going to be the underlying narrative of the whole thing. But I also believe that Baby Yoda is going to be a part of it. And again, I could be absolutely wrong about this. Let's go over and take a look here. So far, about 400 of you guys have answered the poll right now. And out of the roughly 400 of you guys who have answered the poll right now, 82% of you believe that Baby Yoda will appear. 82% of you believe he will appear, that Baby Yoda will appear. Now, whether that means 1 episode, 3 episodes, all the episodes, whatever, 82% of you believe he will be there. 18% of you believe he will not be there. So it sounds like most of you guys agree with me that at some point he's got to be there, whether it's a big major thing or a small little thing. We'll see. Maybe Jordan Smith is saying in the live chat, he doesn't show up till the last episode. Maybe, but I believe he's going to be there one way or the other. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Question is for you guys. What do you think about, number one, that Mandalorian Season 3 is finally up and running. It is shooting right now. But more importantly, now that it's up and running, let's ask the question. What do you think Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be? Will Baby Yoda show up? What will be the overarching theme? I think it's going to be the retaking of Mandalore. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. How are you guys feeling about this? Whatever it is, jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with all that down and out of the way, let's spend the rest of our time now going over and taking your live questions. A bunch of you guys have been firing them in, so let's get on over there and start taking them, shall we? And we're going to start taking your questions with Sam Sprill, who writes, greetings from South Africa. First time tipping. Thanks so much, Sam. But I don't think that's true. I see your name pop up before. Anyway, been watching your show since December of 2018. Because of you, I went from watching 1 movie per year at the cinema to 10 in the first.
This is Robert Langdon. I teach symbology. The suspect called him.
From the author of the Da Vinci Code.
He wants me to locate an ancient portal.
We have to finish this or my dad is dead.
Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol. Streaming now with new episodes every Thursday. Only on Peacock.
Trick or treat.
What are you supposed to be?
I'm a purple mattress. Sleeping on a purple mattress is no trick. It's all treat, thanks to the GelFlex Grid. It's a super stretchy, ultra squishy material that flexes around pressure points. It's 80% air, so you don't sleep too hot or too cold. And you get 100 nights to try me risk-free.
Aren't you a little old to be trick-or-treating?
I'm 6. I'm big for my age.
Get a free set of sheets and a pillow with the purchase of select Purple mattresses at purple.com/sleepin. Terms apply.
6 months of 2019. That's awesome, man. Since then, I go to the cinema regularly. Thanks. All thanks to you. Oh, man, that is like one of the nicest compliments I think I could possibly get. That is like saying that you go to the movies now because of me. Okay, that's incredibly honoring. Thank you so much for saying that's extremely kind. That's incredibly flattering. And I'm glad you got more into movies, Sam. Thanks so much. That is seriously the kindest thing you could have said. So thank you so much for that, man. All right, next up, we got an anonymous viewer who writes, with Alan Horn leaving and Kevin Feige not taking his place, do you think it's more probable with all that's going on that Kevin Feige will be following him out the door? Well, look, I have said for a while that I believe Kevin Feige is going to be moving on from Disney and Marvel. I don't think the Bob Chapek reign is going to help that situation. I think that's going to further it out. I think the fact that now Alan Horn is leaving, he loves working with Alan Horn. Kevin Feige loves Alan Horn. And I know maybe he's also really close with Alan Bergman as well. I mean, the new kind of guy that Alan Horn mentored to take his place. Maybe he likes him just as much. I don't know. But I've been saying for a while that I do believe that Feige's going to be leaving Disney. Maybe not this year, maybe not in 2 years, but I think the clock is ticking on Kevin Feige's time at Disney. I think he's going to probably want to move on at some point, but that's just my take on it. I might be right. It might be wrong. We'll see. All right. Next up, Fanimator writes, top 10 movies of the year. Number 1, Shang-Chi. Number 2, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Number 3, Free Guy. Number 4, Mitchell's versus the Machines. That was such a pleasant surprise That Mitchells versus the Machines was such a pleasant surprise of an animated movie. I was really charmed by it. Number 5, A Quiet Place Part 2. Number 6, The Suicide Squad. Number 7, No Time to Die. Number 8, Black Widow. Number 9, The Tomorrow War. I didn't mind The Tomorrow War. Number 10, Nobody. Loved Nobody. I would have to put Nobody a little bit higher on my list, but that's a good list of films there, Fanimator. Thanks for sharing it, dude. All right, next up. Mike Hamari writes, I was spoiled in Los Angeles with access to so many theaters showing independent films and smaller studio films. Who or what prevents theaters in smaller markets from showing limited screenings of smaller films midweek? Not really anything. But here's the thing, if you are a theater owner in a small market, what is going to bring more people in your doors? Now, I'm not saying this is the way it should be. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, okay? If you live in Crunk, Idaho, by the way, I don't know that that's a real place. I just made it up, okay? So let's say you live in a town, Crunk, Idaho, population 22,000 or whatever, and you've got like a little 2-screen theater, whatever. What is more likely to bring in more butts in your seats? Is it going to be playing James Bond, No Time to Die, and Shang-Chi? Is that going to bring more people into your theater that week on a Wednesday night? Or is it The Deflowering of Edna Postusky, a black and white noir film from French filmmaker Jean-Claude. I'm Canadian and I can't even do a good French accent. A story about the coming of age of a young heroin addict. Whatever. What's going to get more people to come to your theater? Is it the James Bond film? Or is it the black and white French art house film called The Deflowering of Edna Chauzy, directed by Javier Francis Leblanc? I just offended every French person out there. I'm doing my best. Cut me some slack. To all my French Canadian friends, cut me some slack. Anyway, what movie's going to get more people out there? I mean, I get it. And I'm not saying, John, are you not supporting independence? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if you own a movie theater, your livelihood depends on getting more people into the theater. And even if it's a midweek Wednesday or Thursday, what has the better chance of getting more people into your theater to buy soda and popcorn and take? See, it's going to be Shang-Chi and No Time to Die. So nothing is stopping them from doing it except their own business sense that really is like, that Marek Wachowski is saying, Je m'appelle Claude. Je m'appelle Jean. Comment t'appelles-tu? Ça va? Anyway, 8 years of French I took in school, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best I can do. I'm not a very good foreign language student. I'm not. Anyway, there's that. Good question, though, man. Good question, Mike. Okay, next up. Fanimator say, très bien, merci. Okay, next up. Bill Clay writes, I hope Will Poulter crosses the finish line this time as Adam Warlock after dropping out as Pennywise in It and then the Lord of the Rings show. I have always liked him all the way back to a great film called Son of Rambo. That's where really everybody got his name. Like Son of Rambo was a breakthrough. And he deserves a lot more roles and acclaim. You're right. He's great. He's absolutely great. And if you guys have not seen him, in that I believe it's a 2018, might have been 2017 film called Detroit, he should have been nominated for an Academy Award. And I'm not saying that as hyperbole. He should have been nominated for an Academy Award for that. His performance in that is absolutely incredible. And yes, let's hope that he doesn't develop this habit of joining a project and then walking from it. Let's see how that turns out. All right. Next up, Ismail Montoya writes, hey, John, a question came up a few days ago of who could be the next superhero to lead the MCU. Now, Will Poulter is confirmed as Adam Warlock. Would you consider him as a potential? Nah. I would consider it. Thanks and bring on the filthy. Not really, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think, as really good of an actor as Will Poulter is, I don't think he can be that next Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans to be the face of the MCU. Also, really, when you know more about the Adam Warlock character, him being kind of the lead face of it, not really. He's always been kind of treated as a supporting character, an important, powerful supporting character in the comics, but he's always kind of filled that role. So both from the Adam Warlock character point of view and from the Will Poulter point of view, I don't see him being that next one. Although I am very much looking forward to seeing him play the role. All right. Next up, an anonymous viewer writes, what's been a recent film or TV couple that you've enjoyed? I really love Keeley and Roy on screen together in Ted Lasso. Avenge me, Keeley. Yeah, listen, I freaking love the Roy Keeley relationship on Ted Lasso. I love that relationship. It's like, what would I do if suddenly you stepped onto a street and were hit by a bus? Avenge me. That's one of the best lines I've heard on TV. Like, what would I do if you stepped on a street and suddenly hit by a bus? Dramatic pause. Avenge me. It's so good. You have to see it in context. You have to see the line in context. It's so good. What's another great couple? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't really know. I honestly, I don't have one off the top of my head. I don't really normally look for great couples in movies or TV shows. I mean, obviously, I've always loved the Tony Pepper relationship. That one's always been great. But, I mean, that's an older one now. So I don't know. It's a great question, honestly. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do love the Roy and Keeley relationship, like, a lot. All right. Next up, Alan writes, hey, John, you talked about recently that Daniel Craig recently said that Bond should always be a man. I saw No Time to Die 3 times this past weekend, and I would disagree. I could see Lashana Lynch's character, Madeline, or his daughter. Your thoughts on that? You're misunderstanding, Alan. You're misunderstanding. Nobody said that a woman couldn't be a 007. 007 is just an employee number. I've been trying to, like, ever since I saw people, like, crying themselves to sleep, woman is going to be 007. Oh, my fragile masculinity can't take it. 007 is an employee number. That's all it is. Nobody is saying that a woman can't be 007. Lashana Lynch's character in No Time to Die is 007, but she's not James Bond. She's not James Bond. James Bond, listen, you know me. I am totally for gender swapping characters, race swapping characters. I'm all for that because at the end of the day, 95% of the characters that we have out there, what their gender is or what their ethnicity is, isn't a core, essential, important part of who and what that character is. It's not what makes that character what they are. There are some exceptions, though. And to me, James Bond is one of those exceptions. When you know the DNA of the character of James Bond, that is quintessentially male. He is a quintessentially male character. If he were not male, it would fundamentally change the way of who and what James Bond is. Now, if James Bond were to have black skin, that doesn't change anything about him. If James Bond were suddenly an Asian guy, a guy with Asian heritage, that doesn't really change anything about the character. But the gender of James Bond, because that character is so male, it is a part of the essence of what makes the character. So I think that's what producer Barbara Broccoli and what, Daniel Craig were implying. They weren't talking about somebody else can't be 007. Sure, you could do a movie later where James Bond's daughter grows up and becomes 007. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You could say Lashana Lynch takes back over the employee number of 007. Nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. You can totally do that. It might even be really cool. But they can't be James Bond because only James Bond is James Bond. Anyway, that's just my take on it. Other people can have different opinions, and I respect that. I might even change my mind in a few years. But for now, that's kind of my take on it. All right, next up, we got Dangerous D who writes, hey, John, your mind, try this again. Hi, John, your mind is the great monster in cinema, excluding Godzilla and King Kong. Are you saying it's, John, what in your mind is the greatest monster Guys, please proofread before you hit submit on these things. What in your mind is the greatest monster in cinema, excluding Godzilla and King Kong? The xenomorphs and aliens, the kaiju in Pacific Rim, the creatures in Cloverfield, or the dinosaurs in Jurassic World? What is your pick? You want to add another? Well, I would have to think about that. So let me just limit it to the ones you're mentioning there. Definitely not the creature in Cloverfield. No. Not the kaiju in Pacific Rim. They're great, whatever. I think it would have to either be the xenomorphs in Aliens, or, you know what, I'm going to go with if you're making the list, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, in the world of Jurassic Park, I got to go with the dinosaurs. They're terrifying. They're great. They are so real to us. That T-Rex, the Velociraptors. Yeah, so out of those options, I will go with the dinosaurs. Thanks for that. All right, next up. Garden Variety Vagabond, still one of my favorite usernames on YouTube, writes, "Hey, John, Sam Fisher had mentioned how Mark Harmon was leaving NCIS. Like after 18 seasons, he's finally leaving. A neat aspect of this is that his character is establishing a relationship with the beautiful Pan Dauber, his real-life wife. It's nice seeing their chemistry in his last season." I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know she was on the show because I don't watch NCIS. I'm not crapping on it. I've just never seen it. So whatever. So for those of you who don't know, Pan Dauber is, she was Mindy in Mork and Mindy. She was the one who starred with Robin Williams in Mork and Mindy. And you don't see a lot of her out there, but yeah, she is Mark Harmon's real life wife. And I had no idea she started appearing on the show. And she is his love interest in the show. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that, Garden. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's a nice little piece of trivia. All right. Next up, we got Suthius, who writes, "I'm not sure if Mrs. C, that would be Anne, has ever met or worked directly with Brian Goldner." She did. She knew Brian during her time at Hasbro, but news hit that he just passed away. I've always been a fan of Hasbro and their products, and it's sad to see their CEO pass away at such a young age. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure many of you do, my wife Ann worked for a number of years at Hasbro, and she had met and talked with their CEO, and the news just came out that their CEO had passed away. Now, Ann had told me, I wasn't aware of this, Ann had told me that he had been battling cancer for a number of years, but a lot of them at Hasbro thought he might have been in remission, but apparently he just passed away. And yeah, the dude was young. I think he was like 56. That dude was young. And apparently he became CEO. And like, you want to question your own personal life decisions? That dude became CEO of Hasbro in his 40s. I'm in my 40s. I'm sitting in a converted garage talking on YouTube, and he was CEO of Hasbro. So yeah, it was very sad news. And, Ann knows a lot of people at Hasbro who knew him much better as well. And our thoughts and best wishes to everybody who worked with and knew him. It was really sad to hear about that. Thanks for sharing that, Soothie. It's a good topic to bring up, man. All right, next up. Dangerous D writes, "John, who do you think is the best impersonator? Bill Hader? Does Schwarzenegger, Pacino, Jay Farrow? Does Kevin Hart, Denzel? Frank Calladino? Does Madden Bush? Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy, or someone else? Bring on the filthy impressions." None of them. None of them. It was who, guys in the live chat, I wish Rob was here. He probably knows the name of the guy. There was a comedian impersonator in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Is it Rich something? And Rich Jordan Carlson got it. Jordan Carlson got it. Rich Little. I remember that because I remember watching the Muppet Show when I was a kid, and he was even on the Muppet Show. And I remember a bunch of years ago, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole because I was looking up an impressions of something or whatever. Anyway, went down this big YouTube rabbit hole on Rich Little. That dude did the best because he could do impressions of anybody. He could do impressions of anyone. Like Carson would name a guy, Johnny Carson would name a guy, and he would just be able to do it. Like, it was incredible. So those guys all do good. Like, I love Bill Hader too, but yeah, Rich Little. Who is this? Enric is saying that Rich Little is still alive. Oh no, asking, is Rich Little still alive? Well, Dutch is saying Rich Little still performs in Vegas. I had no idea. I had no idea if he was still alive or still working, whatever, but apparently, yeah. He was like the best I've ever seen. Now, I've only ever saw him on YouTube, but he was the best I've ever seen. All right, next up. Dangerous D also writes, hey John, have you heard this news? Stephen S. DeKnight has announced that he will no longer write for Marvel until C.B. Cebulski, editor-in-chief, steps down. Apparently he pretended to be Asian to further his career in Marvel. I didn't know being Asian could further your career, especially in Marvel. As an Asian man, I don't know what to think of this. I don't know whether to be flattered or appalled. As someone who's married to a Filipina, do you agree or disagree with Stephen DeKnight's decision? Okay, so I'll say this. For those of you who don't know what's going on, Stephen S. DeKnight, who of course was the creator and showrunner of Spartacus, which was Aaron Cummings' show. He was also the showrunner for season 1 of Daredevil, did a magnificent job on that. Then I think he did the one Pacific Rim movie, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so he's recently signed on to write a Wolverine comic for Marvel. Now, news came out that the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, CB, what's his name again? Cebulski? CB Cebulski. He wrote, while being an assistant editor at Marvel, he was a writer on one of the comics under a pseudonym, and I cannot, let me just see if I can look this up. Hold a second. Give me one moment. Sorry for the awkward silence here. Let me bring this up here. Let me bring this up for a second. So basically he wrote for a Marvel comic under the pseudonym Akira Yoshida. He wrote under that pseudonym. And he wrote, now I don't know a ton about the story. I will say this, and look, let me just admit this. I don't know a lot about this story. So I'll say this. If it's just that, okay, look, he's an editor at Marvel, so he wasn't supposed to also be writing on a comic in Marvel, because I guess that's against the rules. So he took on a pen name, and instead of a white Caucasian pen name, he used an Asian pen name instead, so people would know who he is. In this case, Akira Yoshida. If that's all this is about, and I don't know that it is, I'm fully admitting my ignorance here. I don't know if this is what, I'm just saying if, and that's a big if this whole thing is just about that he wrote under a pseudonym and he happened to use an Asian name, I don't see what the big deal is. Now, if there's more to the story than that, then I could totally change my opinion. But if all this is that this guy wanted to hide his real identity in writing this comic so that the fans wouldn't know it was actually one of the editors of Marvel writing it, and instead of just using my name, yes, my name is Larry LeBlanc. Like, I don't know. Like, if instead of saying that, he said, look, I really want to throw people off. So
How many steps do you take before you have foot pain? Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and the truth is, the battle between our feet and the concrete or asphalt usually winds up with our feet losing. Studies show that about 75% of people will experience some kind of foot pain by middle age. I found that out a number of years ago with plantar fasciitis, and I tried to remedy it with shoes and drugstore cushions that didn't work. Finally, I went to the Good Feet Store, was personally fitted for arch supports, and I loved them so much, I bought the store. Without a plan to protect and support your feet, it is likely you could one day be one of the millions living with chronic foot pain. Don't wait until pain demands that you visit us. Stop by the Good Feet Store today and let one of our trained arch support specialists fit you with your personal system of arch supports.
The Good Feet Store is located in Fairfax, Leesburg, Rockville, Baltimore and Hunt Valley,
and in Annapolis in the Annapolis Harbor Center. For more information, go to goodfeet.com.
All right, we're here with Nina, who is hosting a little Tuesday get-together.
And she has gone all out.
Yep, she's done the fancy charcuterie thing.
Look at those solid maple serving boards.
So classy.
And those gold rim side plates? Gorgeous.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And she got it all at Marshall's for way less.
Even the cheese?
No, not the cheese, but that to die for sequin top.
Marshall's?
Yep, Marshall's. Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
What's a Japanese name? Akira Yoshida. And he used that as a pseudonym. I don't see what the big deal is. I don't see what the problem is. Well, so what? Is it racist to just use a different name when you're coming? I don't know. Now, again, maybe there's way more to it than that. And I really like Stephen DeKnight. I really like him a lot. I've met him. I love his work. I love Stephen DeKnight. I'm just saying is I don't know the whole situation, but if the situation, and again, it's a huge if the situation is just that he picked that name as his pen name, I don't see why this is a big deal. But again, I'll say it for a third time, if there's more to it than that, then maybe there's more to it than that. By the way, I just want to say let me try this again. Irgio Arrigo sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm sure a few have come through today that I've missed, and I apologize if I've missed anybody from that. Okay, let's move on. Next up, we've got Dangerous D. Oh, that we already did that part. Okay, Dangerous D writes, "Hey, John. It's that time of year. CW is doing a crossover with their DC shows, their first look photo in Entertainment Weekly, and it looks so low budget, Despero. The villain doesn't even look like the image in the comic books. Should they stop crossovers?" Listen, honestly, I'm not following the CW verse anymore. I'm not following the Arrowverse anymore. I haven't for a little bit. I even stopped watching Flash, and I kept watching Flash for a while, but I jumped off of Flash. So I haven't seen the image. I can't comment on it. But hey, listen, if people are still watching those shows, go ahead and do the crossover. I mean, I always liked their crossovers back to when I used to watch the Arrowverse, except for their Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths one. That Crisis one, I thought that was terrible. But I liked all the other ones. So if people are still watching the show, keep doing them. All right, next up. Dangerous again writes in, "Hey, John, do you remember Johnny Dangerously?" Oh, I do. I do remember Johnny Dangerously very well. This is an underrated parody movie because that was Michael Keaton and Joe Piscopo was in that. And I do remember that. I was really young, but I remember that movie. This is an underrated parody movie. I watched it again, and it's fargan funny to me. Did you ever watch this Fargan movie? Which Icehole, I remember the Icehole character, was your favorite? Did you think this was a top 5 Amy Heckerling movie? Well, honestly, I can't name 5 Amy Heckerling movies. I know there was... her best movie was Fast Time at Ridgemount High. That was her best movie. I believe she did Clueless. I think she did Clueless. I think she did the John Travolta Look Who's Talking. I think. But that's all the ones I can remember. And Johnny Dangerously.